All right, let's try this again. I want to talk about gay marriage. I want to talk about climate change. I want to talk about how we will get marijuana legalized and other drugs. Whatever the progressive movement wants. Let's talk about it. One thing about I've had conversations with friends of mine about who would legalize marijuana first, and it looks like Virginia is going to be the first one. I was quite shocked to see that. I think it was who told me this? I think it was Sean that told me that would happen. I was shocked. I'm like, Virginia? And like everybody I thought it'd be Florida or Georgia. And my friend Denzel says that everything Florida does, Georgia does right after it. That's why, I thought it'd be, Florida's a party state. But Florida's got, the right wingers up in the panhandle. So it took us all surprise when Virginia decriminalized marijuana. This all just happened, so we don't know, how long it will take, timeline on any of this. One thing about traveling around this country and, running around the South, running around the Midwest as a budding progressive and not really knowing, not really understanding, what that means and what the stakes are, I encounter a lot of hate. Crackers are really hateful. They're really nasty. Really, really hateful people. And sometimes I think about how it's kind of shocking that gay marriage is even legal. The way people think out here, it is so diminutive. It is so small. It is so immature in the way they think. It is so selfish, and unthoughtful that it's kind of surprising that gay marriage is even legalized at all. And I have to remember that was because of the federal government. You see, people talk about states' rights. People talk about what, states' rights means and all that. All states' rights means is keeping everything the way it is. And all states' rights means is pretty much putting a cork in progressivism. Because progressives only move with strong government. Let's be honest. A lot of, to me, the small stuff is just legalizing drugs, and I think California had something you can run around with no clothes on. Like that, to me, is progressives on the small scale. And that doesn't do anything for me because I don't want to run around with no clothes on. And I don't need to smoke marijuana. I don't, I smoke CBD, I do things like that, but I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. As soon as I feel like, it's almost like they let us have that, little things that we would have had anyway. Like legalizing hemp in 2014. These are things that in a rational, reasonable society we would have had anyway, but because we don't have that, we have to claw for every reasonable thing while they engage in 20-year-long wars and the Democrats do nothing about it. States' rights does nothing for the progressive cause or for anyone interested in socialism, social democracy, whatever. There's nothing for that. Nothing. And if you are trying to do something legitimately, states' rights won't help you. It won't. I'm just being honest. It won't help you. It won't help us. So the only way I see marijuana being legalized is some type of federal thing, a federal case, an executive order. You name it. I don't care. You name it. It's just. That's the only way I see it happening in many areas. It's like with the gay marriage thing. Because honestly, this country is not that progressive. I mean, this country is not that open-minded as you think it is, as we think it is. We're not that ahead. We're backwards. And they joke about Bernie Sanders and all that, but to me, Bernie Sanders in a lot of ways is a centrist. He wasn't even as left as I listen to people talk, and I'm like, wow, you'd be scared if I was in office. Like, you would be scared. Like, I would really scare you. And I'm not even as left as people that I listen to. So, yeah, I just, I understand that, like Michael Brooks said it, that the Democrats We lost. We took an L, man. With Bernie Sanders, we took an L. I'm being real. We took a big L. And there's no shame in admitting that. It's important that we admit that. We took an L. And I've said it before. Sam Cedar put the same statement out there that maybe we can't count on working class people to rise up. Like, maybe that's not the way forward. We have to really look at it. Maybe people don't want what's best for them. That sounds bad. I know that sounds horrible for me to say it, but maybe, we've got to do some soul searching. We gotta look at it, because we lost bad, and we got Biden, and Trump may be reelected. I have no faith. I mean, it's like a guy said on Majority Report the other day. He was talking about how any Democrat you can look back at, violent crime drops, suicides and all that drops, and how with a Republican that always surges. It's I understand that. I understand that it's not so much about the personality as it is the issues at hand and the principles that are at stake. I get that, but I just realized, like with gay marriage, if we are to move on climate change, if we are to move on these things, because if you don't have a strong federal government, and you don't have folks that push the limit and push the envelope, we'll never get anywhere. And for white people, for conservatives, time's not ticking. For us, it is. Climate change is getting worse, which is going to open up a whole new Pandora's box of issues. That's what coronavirus to me showed us as time goes on, is just the inequality. That some people can sit out and some people have to work, and how our government services are not suited for dealing with an emergency, a long-term emergency. That's not Trump. I'm talking about capitalism. I'm talking about the way our society is structured. Coronavirus showed us that. Whether we want to see it or not, we're not ready. We weren't ready. We're not going to be ready for the next one. And if there's a second wave of this in the fall or late summer, I don't think the American government will handle this better. I have no faith in that. No faith in that. I have no faith that they're talking about another stimulus. Maybe that'll happen. I'm not waiting on it. I'm not looking it up. I'm not sitting here reading about it. I'm not. Republicans will pull out some more sneaky, shady, slick shit, and that won't happen. It just shows you America, our system is not robust. Oh yeah, we're good at dropping bombs on brown people in the desert. We're real good at that. We're real good at sending drones overseas. We're good at weapons of war. But when it comes to protecting the American people, see, it's almost like it's all one way. Like, we all have to salute the flag and the Pledge of Allegiance, and goddamn the NFL players that protest inequality, goddamn them. But when it comes to a real emergency where American lives are at stake, they can piss on us. And most Americans will say, no big deal. Like, that's what coronavirus shows you. As well as the fact that black folks protest getting murdered, white folks protest not being able to get a haircut or a mani-pedi during a pandemic. That's really what this whole thing should. If you're white and you're not being able to get a haircut, or you're not being able to get a beer in a pandemic, is the worst thing you've got to worry about, then, your privileges, it must be very sweet. And what's so crazy is white folks don't even know it or even care. Like, they used to say they don't even believe in privilege, and now they flaunt it. That's all they have. Even if they're 1 percentage point above a black man, they've got to flaunt it. This country is sick, man. This country is really sick, and you cannot rely on these states to wake up. You can't. I give you an example. I talked about endocrine disruptors back in 2010, 2011, all that. reading about them and watching documentaries. And now, you have transgender kids and you have, sexual dysmorphia and all this kind of stuff. And you have people talking about it. And it's like, wow, it's like it took kids coming out transgender or whatever for you to have a problem with this. Like, it took that. Like, you didn't just say like, oh wow, this is bad because it lowers IQ, or this is bad because it hurts the environment, or we don't know how it affects people. No. The number one thing that bothered you was your kids being gay. Like, this country is sick, man. It's really sick. I don't know how to put it. Like, that's... Peace.